We're rolling!
Hi everyone! Today we're going to be reading this book called Albert Le Blanc to the Rescue by Nick Butterworth. Every day Albert Le Blanc sat on his shelf, waiting for the moment when he might be chosen as a special present for a lucky boy or girl. Yes, he would like that. His friend Sally the Hippo had been picked out only a couple of weeks before. Now, Albert watched out for her each day as she went past the shop. When she did, Sally would wink at Albert, and he would give the smallest little wave back. One wet Wednesday morning, Sally the Hippo had an accident. Right in front of Mr. Jolly's shop, she fell with a splash into a large puddle. Then, oh dear, she was trodden on by a great big muddy boot. Poor Sally. Only Albert Le Blanc seemed to notice. He couldn't say anything out loud, but inside he was shouting, "Help! Somebody, please help Sally!" Somebody had noticed, and somebody did help, but it was not the girl who Sally belonged to. It was a lady who picked up Sally. Albert Le Blanc watched as she squeezed out Sally like a wet sponge and then sneakily popped her into her shopping bag. This was terrible. Sally the Hippo was being stolen. The toys of Mr. Jolly's toy shop were shocked. That evening, after the shop was shut, they did not chatter and play as they usually did. Instead, they worried about what might happen to their friend. Would Sally be sold to someone else? Would she be given away? Would she be dribbled on by a baby? Used as a cushion? Would she be a beanbag or a raffle prize? "Please," said Albert, "this is too much. I just wish she was here." Suddenly, Jack-in-a-Box shouted, "Look, everybody!" From where he was perched on a windowsill, Jack could see into the yard of the house next door. There was Sally! It looked like she had been washed, and now, dripping wet, she had been pegged out on a washing line to dry. "Oh, poor Sally," said Pickle the Mouse. "She looks so unhappy." "It certainly looks like her spirits have been dampened," said Toby the Cat. "But she is here," said Albert Le Blanc, "and we must rescue her." Albert Le Blanc pushed against the window. It creaked and then swung open. "Sally! Sally!" he called in a loud whisper. Sally looked up. "Oh, hello everyone. How nice to see you." "We're going to rescue you," called Albert. Sally smiled. "How kind," she said. The trouble was, Sally was a long way down. How could they reach her? It seemed impossible. "Can I help at all?" said a voice. Lofty was a crane, old and a little bit rusty. It seemed like he had been in the toy shop forever. "Of course," said Albert Le Blanc. "Do your winches work? Is your string still strong?" "Never better," said Lofty. The other toys looked at each other. "Then let us waste no time," said Albert. "I have an idea." Albert Le Blanc's plan was bold and dangerous. To the sound of worrying clicks and squeaks, Lofty began to lower Albert from the window, down towards his friend Sally. The other toys watched nervously. A sudden hiss from a cat who had been dozing on a shed roof startled Albert Le Blanc. Don't mind me," said Albert. "I'm just hanging around." Albert Le Blanc was not very good at smiling. He was friendly, and he could speak French, but smiling? Not really. The cat looked rather confused. and decided that Albert was best left alone. Click, squeak, click, squeak, click, squeak. Down, down, down went Albert Le Blanc. Click, squeak, squeak, click! Bouncing gently and spinning slowly around, Albert Le Blanc stopped just below Sally. "Now," said Albert, "climb onto my back." "I'd love to, dear," said Sally, "but I can't. I'm pegged." Albert Le Blanc groaned. What could he do? If he unpegged Sally, she would fall to the ground. A little click squeak from Lofty told Albert that he needed to think quickly. But all he could think of was how thin and frayed Lofty's string suddenly seemed to be. "I can help," called Pickle. Without waiting to be asked, Pickle began to climb nimbly down Lofty's string. As Pickle passed the cat, he half opened his eyes, then slyly licked his lips. "Don't even think about it, mon ami," said Albert Le Blanc. The cat looked down and stared at Albert. Then, to everyone's relief, he got up and slunk away. As quickly as she could, Pickle unpegged Sally from the washing line, and Sally fell heavily onto Albert Le Blanc's back. "Oof," groaned Albert. "Sorry, dear," said Sally. "It's the weight of the water. I'm not quite dry yet." "Heave-ho, Lofty," said Jack-in-a-Box. Slowly, and with one or two scary moments on the way, Albert Le Blanc, Sally, and Pickle were winched back up to where the other toys were waiting. There was a great cheer. "Hooray for Albert and Lofty, and for Pickle too," said Albert. "We must not forget brave Pickle." Pickle blushed. "And brave Sally," she said. "It must have been horrid being so wet." "We hippos are used to getting wet," said Sally, "but I don't mind if I never again see the inside of a spin dryer." The next morning, the doorbell of Mr. Jolly's shop tinkled, and into the shop came a little girl called Amy Foster with her mom. Amy looked as if she might have been crying. "I know, sweetheart," said Amy's mom, "but these things happen. Have a look round. I'm sure you'll see something." Amy gazed around at all the wonderful toys. It was very hard to choose. "Him," said Amy at last, pointing at Albert Le Blanc. "I saw him before. He's so sweet." "Are you sure?" asked Amy's mom. "I'm sure," said Amy. Amy's mom paid Mr. Jolly, and Albert Le Blanc was put into one of Mr. Jolly's special bags. Suddenly, Amy squealed, "Sally! It's Sally! Oh, Sally, where have you been?" Mr. Jolly was just as surprised as Amy. He knew that Amy had bought Sally with her birthday money only 2 weeks ago. Now, here was Sally, back in his shop. It was a mystery, except, of course, to the toys of Mr. Jolly's toy shop. "I don't understand it," said Mr. Jolly, "but you must have Sally back at once." Amy took Sally and cuddled her. Then she looked Albert Le Blanc peeping out of his bag. "Oh, but," said Amy, "do I have to give him back?" "Well," said Amy's mom, "you do have some birthday money left." Sally the Hippo and Albert Le Blanc were carried out of Mr. Jolly's toy shop by a very happy Amy Foster. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," said Amy. "He's so lovely. I just want to hug him." Sally the Hippo smiled to herself. "I know just what the girl means," she said. And that's the end. Now I'm going to retell the story using these animals. This is Albert Le Blanc, this is Sally, and this is Pickle the Mouse. The first thing that happens in our story is Sally is being carried to school in a little girl's backpack. And what happens? She falls out onto the ground. Albert sees her fall onto the ground and says, "Oh no, Sally, my friend." And then a stranger comes and takes Sally. Albert's very worried. But later, they see Sally hanging up on a washing line or a drying line in the backyard. Albert gets an idea. And next thing he does is have his friend lower him down to get Sally. They wrap Albert up, wrap him up. I'm using a cat toy so my cat is watching. And then they lower Albert down to get Sally. Albert can't get Sally. She can't hop onto his back because she's pegged to the clothing line. So the next thing that happens is Pickle the Mouse comes down and unpegs Sally from the line. And then Sally falls onto Albert's back, and they all go back up to the toy store together. The last thing that happens is Sally's little girl, Amy Foster, comes into the store. She's sad because she lost Sally, but she sees Albert and thinks he would be a good stuffed animal, so she gets Albert. And then, when she's just about to leave the store, she sees Amy the hippo. Not Amy. She sees Sally the hippo, and she gets to take them both home, and they live happily ever after. The end. Now you guys can tell this story to your parents at home using your own stuffed animals if you'd like. And parents, if you wouldn't mind taking pictures or a video and sharing them in Class Dojo, that would be awesome. Bye everyone.